Hello.
Welcome. Hello, everybody. When you eventually join in and watch this amazing show called In Bed with Possibilities, we have Tasty Tuesdays. And tonight I have my very special guest, Brooke, with me from Intuitive Focus. Hello, Brooke.
How are you going? Yeah, good. How are yourself? Sorry for saying hello when you first come in. I'm so used to hosting all the shows. This is the first time I've really been on someone else's show.
How does it get any better?
That's it. How does it get any better?
Yay, we've got people watching. Yay, thank you everybody for coming to play, coming to watch me put Brooke in the hot seat for the chat for a change. Where we will get to talk about all things consciousness, spirituality, business, just life in general, and how awesome it is to be alive at this point in time. So, hi, Cindy.
G'day, Cindy.
Alrighty. So, shall we slam right into it? Get beginning? All right. So, what I would like to know is, how did you begin on your spiritual journey? Let's start there.
Well, first time I was young and I had a job where I was working. Both times when I got into spiritual journey, I had jobs where I was working just ridiculous hours and just on the edge of burning out, chasing money. I think the first time I was about 23 and I was just partying and working hard, and I just had some real downer experiences. And the first time it was actually in church. It was a Pentecostal church. And when I was 3 years there, and I started studying theology. But I went through the ranks really high. They were grooming me to be a pastor because I wasn't there for religion. I was there for the spiritual need. So I did see a lot of supernatural things happen. I did see a lot of energy. It was really powerful energy, and even to the point of miracles, spending time, healing, started speaking in tongues there. It was really good until they started telling me what to do. And I said, well, that's between me and the guy upstairs. And they're like, oh, no, you have to listen to us. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, but it says this. And I'm saying, I read the book. That's not what it says. And then I moved out and just went back into life. But always had that sort of spirituality and all that sort of thing in the back of my head. I mean, there was tangible stuff experienced and saw. It wasn't just hocus pocus or fake. I wasn't there to be fake. And then I think the second time I went through life having good experiences, having not so good experiences, just going through normal life. And then I got to a stage where I had a mortgage. I was working like 12 to 14 hours a day. And I was away from home, so I'd be down in town working, and then I'd come back, I think, home on a Saturday morning, and then I would have, I'd hit the drink because I'd be winding down, and that was all Saturday, and then it'd be recovery on Sunday, and that started becoming my whole life, and I got very unfit. And then after about 10 years of that, I just had to have a look at my life and go, and I thought, if I don't make any changes in my life, I'm going to die doing this. In the exact same spot, just working and, drinking on the weekends. And I thought, well, I've got to make some stuff. So I started looking for answers. And then I came across the way I got into meditations, I started dabbling in the foreign exchange markets, in the stock exchange. So I started studying that, and I started trading the financial markets. And
how did that work? How do you put meditation and financial markets together?
Well, it's all about being in the moment and tuning in so you can make that right choice. So one thing I learned from some of the great traders is a lot of them would try to get out of that expectation, and they'd use meditation to clear their mind and sort of tune in on their intuition.
Oh, wow. That's super cool. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody talk about the markets like that before. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Because I was listening to podcasts because I was driving in trucks all night. I would download podcast after podcast after podcast on my phone, and then I just listened to lectures on all sorts of stuff, whether it be financial markets, genetics, just anything. I just really sort of become a sponge for knowledge, because otherwise I was just working. I was in a driving for like 10 hours a night. So it gets boring just listening to the radio. And actually, when you're in the line haul, the radio's cut in and out, and the radio station's cut in and out anyway. So, and then I came across a guy called, I think, Dr. Stephen Greer, and he was talking about the unacknowledged, the UFO, all the hidden, all the hidden technologies and the stuff that the government's been keeping from us. So I went down all those rabbit holes, and that's when he started talking about conscious and doing meditations and connecting with off this planet consciousness and calling on them, and then seeing the spaceship rock up.
Wow.
But at that stage I was like, cool, let's, we really need to help humanity. We really need to, this earth, we really need to get our shit together. And so that led me down a few rabbit holes, which sort of brought me to following the path that I'm on now, which is, that constant expansion of oneness, and, the trying to evolve as a human. Which has its moments, I might add.
Some more challenging than others, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So along with that, so what does consciousness mean to you?
Well, I guess, it's sort of about, to me, it's like the evolution. It's almost trying to, in expansion of my consciousness, it's trying to to understand who we are, to develop ourselves and evolve in all that we can be. It started with trying to understand what I was not, and the first of it was trying to, deprogram myself from all the life, all the experiences in life, and it was really trying. I went for 2 years listening to podcasts, connecting with certain podcasts, trying to find out what was the real go with spirituality. I mean, I did a bit of meditation, I did a bit of this, I did a bit of that, and I think I got onto a guy called Andrew Barsis, the galactic historian, and he really drummed in the, doing the daily practices, getting serious about it, and because I was meditating and doing that, but it just didn't feel like I was really getting too far. Mm-hmm. And then what I took from his podcast was he's really big on doing the practices, educating yourself, making sure you meditate, make sure you do your clearings, and then I started learning about clearing your space, even doing fire. I think I did it the first shamanic fire ceremony that I did was because he was saying everyone should do one. He said you can do it with you can be cooking dinner, and a pot of, cooking a pot of dinner, and you can be using that as a ceremony and putting intent into that and creation into that, and putting that intent and programming your food to do all sorts of things. And it really started to open my mind about what was possibility. And from then I just sort of really opened myself to sort of studying and pushing it harder. And then it wasn't until I really sort of cracked down on trying to push it harder and deal with stuff that things started blossoming. I think it was about 2 years ago.
Fantastic. You just reminded me of a funny story. One of my partners at the time, they really enjoyed my cooking. But this one day, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't loving it. Wasn't enjoying the process. Cooked this meal. It was very blah. And he just turned around to me and said, "Lorene, you're a pretty good cook, but if your heart's not in it, it's complete shit. Don't cook when you're not in it." If your heart's not in it.
Oh my God, that's a bit rude. I mean, can't you just still throw something together and be like?
But that's just what you're saying there about the intention. Yeah,
yep.
That's absolutely, and quite clearly, he's very aware of energies that are placed into a dish, and my energy just wasn't there. My love of the dish, the love of the meal, the love of the cooking just wasn't there, and he really noticed that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's all right. You should have just grabbed his phone and said, "Okay, well, then you can energetically Uber us some dinner then, some takeaway."
Turns out he's actually a pretty good cook on his own, but it took me leaving for him to discover that.
Oh, how convenient. It's so much. It's great when you live with someone that is into cooking. It just because then you'll have both your specialities, and it's just. But I don't mind doing all the cooking. I've got no problem with that because I cook good and I like my food.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I have tasted your meals. They are very good. I have to say.
Yeah.
And if anybody gets the privilege of having one of Brooke's meals, enjoy it. He's put a lot of love in me.
Just bring caramel mud cake or cheesecake, and I'll cook for anyone.
I think I might still owe you a caramel mud cake, actually, but that's all right. We'll get there eventually.
No expectations.
No, or projections, right? I see Stuffy has joined us. He's spying the coffee. Which is lovely. Thank you, Stuffy, for coming to play.
Coffee.
Yes, coffee. Cindy, one day Brooke will cook me a meal. Starting to get used to chili.
You better.
Yeah, he hasn't sort of slammed me out with too much chili yet, but then I like chili, so that's all good. So you went through that consciousness journey. You started sort of developing that. You got into a bit of shamanism, and started developing that side of things. I know that you do the medicine pouches. How did they come into your space?
Well, I was actually the funny thing about shamanism, I did a fire ceremony, and as a release, full moon ones are good. You do a release, and you can do other ones for bringing in stuff. You can really do them any time, but they do reckon that the moons thin the veils with the energies, just a different vibration. But I went to that, and I was studying a lot of, as I did, started doing, getting into more courses and that, I started doing just all sorts of stuff that I was curious about, even stuff, and I found myself doing even base courses in stuff that I wasn't really interested in doing, but I wanted to know for defense, what they were doing for defense purposes. Like I think I even did like a hoodoo course and studied hoodoo. And just even doing that, I realized some of the stuff that was around and spell work, and I was like, oh dear God, I'm not doing that in 1,000 years. But that's okay. I mean, I was doing some of this stuff just to educate myself, to see what was out there, and just sort of going, so I had some understanding if I had to do any defensive work. And I was doing one course in psychic defense, and they had a thing to make a protective talisman. They had, like, part of the course, you made a protective talisman for yourself. So I did that. I made one for myself, and then I just it just sort of came to me to make a pouch. So I made haven't got the pouch on me. So I had the idea, and then to put all sorts of stuff in it. And so I did that. I made 3 of them. I made one for Carly, Tracy, and myself, and I made them as a set, the Blue Moon Guardians, and each one had each of our DNA in it, but more DNA of our own, because you need, just to bind it to the individual. And I made those, and that was all good. We had one each, and I think at the time I didn't realize how powerful they were. Like, it was just something like making it, because I've made staff and some other stuff, but this was the first thing that I actually I think it was about the second or third thing that I actually enchanted. But I started to get, as I was doing these things, I started to getting, it was like downloads or more realization, and more stuff was just clicking in, and I did them. And Tracy turned around to me one day and she said, "Oh my God, she said, I can't connect with some people when I'm wearing this pouch." And because it's designed to protect against negative energies. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I was wearing mine to work, and I noticed that days when I wasn't wearing it, I would get triggered over small stuff at work. And then I'd wear it to work, and then the same sort of stuff would happen, and the energies would come in a lot slower, a lot softer, and I'd be like, I don't really choose to react to that.
Mm.
And so I made some more for some friends and family, and which a couple were really, really strong empaths. One was a really strong empath. He had trouble getting out of the house because he would just have anxiety, and obviously he was like a radar that was just picking up everyone's energies. And I made him one, and overnight he stopped, cut down his drinking. He started going out more, and he started regaining his life. And I thought, my God, these are really powerful tools.
Wow.
And yeah, so it wasn't, I didn't go out just to make them. I just made personally just to help people. And then when I saw how much they were helping people, it just blew me away. It still blows me away. And so I developed, obviously got better at what I did for them. And then I'd customize them to each individual and try to balance them out for what the person needs, and put all sorts of things that can aid them with medical or issues that they're having. And just, I'm like, even though I do it, I've got the intent and I do it, but when I hear the testimonies of the people that got them, it still blows me away today. I'm just like, oh my God. And it's just really awesome to see. There's so many people that I think Cindy was one. She was suffering from anxiety, wasn't able to get out of the house, and she had trouble with driving, and I made her one, and then she started driving further and further, started getting out of the house, and it just blew me away that they could help people so much. It was just unreal. And then I just sort of noticing the way they work with me, that they really do buffer out energies, and it started making me think of all the energies that we take on ourselves and we don't even realize. Like, even the thoughts and the energies, we don't even realize it's always us. We just are so used to, oh, this is all my head, this is all that's in my head, it's all of us. And it's amazing when you have a tool that can block some of that stuff out. Then you work out, wait a sec, that all isn't mine, and it just opens you up to all sorts of possibilities.
Absolutely.
So, in short, the pouches, they sort of found me. I didn't find them. They found me. So I knew I was meant to make them. I mean, I do sell them, but I still, if I'm drawn to make them for someone, I just make them one and give it to them. I'll make just as many free ones as I do sell. Actually, I've probably made more free ones than I've sold. I made a ton of them.
Yeah, so lucky. And the people who have received them, who've required them, I'm sure that they could, pass on so many testimonials. I mean, I know a couple of people that have used your pouches, and one of them being really full on hardcore, connecting in with all sorts of things, entities, etc. And like she popped it on and it was like boom, suddenly she was just so much lighter, so much happier, and all from the magic that you have placed within that little pouch. And it just helped her so much, and I can imagine that is a big part of where you feel your business is supposed to be going. So we've got a couple of questions there from Starthy. And hi Tracy, lovely to see you. So Starthy's asking, do you feel an ancient shamanic connection when you make those pouches, or what connection do you feel?
Well, I do. I just call them my guides. And just the whole lot of them in calling my team. And then I just focus on energy, intent and energy, and the emotions that they need to portray. And I try to feel them. And then I just, well, I do a number of things. I'm not going to say exactly everything that I do. They're quite complicated.
Obviously.
But, I mean, each one goes through a fire ceremony for cleansing, and then they go through multiple rituals. So, but I just feel the universe as one. It's more the whole. Even though I feel that connection, that medicine connection, I just trust that the whole universe is just really, everything that I've experienced or everything that is, it all comes together. So I don't discriminate exactly in shamanic or this or that. I just pull it all in together, everything, and that, because it's all one anyway. So I don't usually. I mean, I do shamanic stuff, but I don't feel that I'm a shaman or a medicine man. I do all sorts of stuff, but I don't feel I'm this or that. It's just all that we do.
I love that. Yeah. So what else do you do within your business, for those that don't know?
Me, I do guidance readings. I do a lot of guidance readings. I have a show that I do Thursdays and Sundays with the girls. And I've sort of developed my style of reading is the way I like the style of reading. Well, I sort of worked out what I like the readings is talking to my friend Tracy, because she's one of those friends that go and I'll go what, and she'll go, you really want me to say? And then she'll call out one of my blocks, and I'm like, that's what I want to hear. I don't want beating around the bush. It's great to have friends that will tell you exactly what the go is and not beat around the bush, because otherwise, people are like, oh, I don't want to offend you and all this, and I don't want that. I just want people to be honest, and because that's something I can use, and that's something that can help. I mean, I'm over being, there's no time for that. You just need the brutal honesty. Honesty, regardless if it's brutal or not, it's really hard. I mean, we can all struggle with that in areas, and that's what got me into my guidance readings. Is I just started doing the readings the way I would want to hear it. Something that's constructive, that tells me, okay, you need to be looking at this, you need to be working on that. Okay, this is where you're going wrong about that area, and so on. And I just really hope that they really help people. Some people can take the message, or it plants a seed in others. But I've gotten over, I mean, as compassionate and as I try to be, to connect and do the readings, I've stopped worrying about that, offending people so much, and I just have to tell them how I see it, and it's given me such a better response with people. I mean, I can still be, if sometimes I'm hard and compassionate. I just trust that I will move forward and try to do it in the best possible way. Just trust in the universe, I guess. And also I make talismans. I make leather pouches, crystal pouches, and I make I do defense. I do defensive. I make defensive like art. So art that's actual is a real symbol and a real tool. Like I make arrows. I make an ancient protection arrow symbol, and out of kangaroo, obsidian, crow's feathers, and I make these things, and they really work. They're real symbols. They're real ancient symbols that really work, and are protective. And I make stuff like that, and so it's not just a piece of art. It's functional.
Yeah, it serves a purpose.
It serves a purpose.
To look at.
And also I do healing, and also I just got access bars. I just become certified in that, which is good. I'm looking forward to working with that. I'm looking forward to studying some other modalities. Also do quantum healing, Reiki, all that sort of energy stuff. Chakra practitioner, all sorts of stuff. I like to bring it all into one and like create your own freestyle of healing, and try to sort of get as many tools in your belt so you can, whatever issue comes up, whatever healing they need, you can sort of just pull everything together to go, okay, this is what this person needs today, and try to help them rectify the situation that they need rectified. But I'm just starting. I'm just still learning, and I'm just slowly getting these tools under my belt. Yeah. I mean, you're a lot more advanced than I have. I learned so much from you. Absolutely, you're amazing.
Oh, I've been in deep. I've been in deep for about 7-8 years. So yeah, with me, I move fast and I move deep, and like I just dive. I just and
right, isn't it?
So for me, it is very much a way of life, like spirituality, healing, progressing consciousness. It truly is just a way of life. And if anybody was to try and say that I can't do any of that anymore, I would probably rip their heads off. It's just like, there's no question in my world now that this will be a part of who I be for the rest of my life. And the fact that I now get to bring in incredible people such as yourself to play with, to learn from, to impart knowledge, to just share and create more consciousness together, and to continue to strive to move the collective forward, that to me just lights me up so much. It's just like, yes, let's go, and I get really excited by that.
Well, I look back at the old way of doing things in life, and even in spirituality is, you got to go whole hog. Otherwise, you're just dragging your feet. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's challenging. It doesn't make everything perfect, but at least you start to see everything, and at least try to, move forward.
Absolutely. So in relation to your business, so we spoke a little of, like I just said, how basically my business is. What is the aim of your business?
Well, I'm just trying to expand and do everything I can to help educate people, help change their lives in the same way other people have helped me. I mean, I've got work done from other people, and got so much knowledge from other people that I just want to help expanding, so that I can assist others to expand, like the people that I've come across. I've come across so many people that helped me on my journey, which I can't be thankful enough for, and I just want to do the same thing. Like, if we all buckle down and get into that and try to help each other, and we want a better world.
Yeah, I agree. And at the same token, it's also an acknowledgement that if you hadn't been through what you went through and I hadn't been what I went through, we wouldn't be where we're at now.
Yeah.
You know? And when we start actually taking responsibility for our journey and we actually start allowing those moments in our life to be seen with gratitude and allowance, like when we actually step back and go, hang on a minute, that really shitty moment there where X person did X, Y, Z to me. Like I can think of many times in my life where I could have gone that road and I just stepped back and I just went, that doesn't feel good to be in the blame game towards the other person. It's like, I was just as responsible for my part to play in that situation. So I take responsibility for that. And now what did I learn? How did I grow? And how can I choose to move forward so I don't choose that again? You know?
Yeah.
And that was one of...
Yeah. Well, we've all done the right thing. We've all done plenty of wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's like, but at the end of the day, I guess we have to take, well, we're the only ones that have control over how we interface with the universe. So there's no point blaming anyone else.
Exactly.
And it's hard sometimes. It's very confronting.
Yeah.
You know, at first when I started realizing that, it just was really heavy, and I started going in that, you know, woe is me. Okay, then you know, sort of weighed me down until I started realizing, no, well, it's just the interface. We're the only one that can interface. We might as well be responsible for everything because we're the only one that interfaces with the universe for us. So we're going to take everything on board ourselves, because otherwise we're going into victim of circumstances. You know, and when we're a victim of circumstances, then we've got circumstances dictating our reality.
Yeah.
And that's not a place I want to live from anymore.
No, exactly.
I still fall back into it here and there like anyone else. I mean, I'm only human. I'm not perfect, but sometimes I just got to slap myself and go on.
We'll have this conversation again in like 5 years' time and see if you still have that point of view.
Well, that reminds me of the memo I saw with had the spiritual beginners kit, and it had like sage, crystals, incense, right? It had spirituality for beginners kit, and then it had the advanced spiritual kit, and it was like a cup of coffee and a smoke. And I was like, yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, it's just about being present in the moment. It truly is. But I have to say, one of the most challenging things that I discovered through my journey over the last 7 to 8 years was something that I've been working on for a very long time, pretty much the entire time. And it's only just recently that things have started to really shift there. And I saw the process in the whole was about receiving. And it's fascinating because we've been taught to not receive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As like it's almost like a weakness, or that you're submitting to being dependent.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned that from you. You started teaching me how to receive and be thankful for that, because most of the time we look at it as a weakness. Like, oh no, I can take care of myself. No, I don't need your help, and it shouldn't be about that. And then I just started wondering, what am I really putting out to the universe with that attitude?
Yeah.
It really makes you think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for me, the completion of the process became, not only did I have to learn how to lower my barriers and stop being such massively independent, like hyper independent, like what you were saying there, to the point where I was like, people just didn't know how to help me anymore because I was so doing everything for myself that it kind of pushed people away in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And I became known as like a bit of a control freak and all that sort of stuff. Fun times. Because then, of course, I'd sit back and go, why is nobody helping me? It's like, duh.
Yeah, well, it's quite, it's funny like that, because we work out that 99.999 or pretty much everything, we're always our own blocks.
Yeah.
We block everything. I keep telling people that. They go, I want to be able to manifest. So I'm going, well, we're all perfect manifestors. We were born that way.
Yep.
We're already perfect manifestors, but what are we manifesting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, that was the first step, is actually learning how to receive from others.
Yep.
And when I actually started, allowing myself to have other people offer me things and receive them, like accept them, if you like, then it was a case of I then had to learn how to ask for help. That was a big step. That was massive for me. Again, it was really challenging, that hyper independence once again is, and I've been in some really fucking low spots before I'll ask for help. And so it's like, I'm still working on that one sometimes, but I'm getting better with that. Then most recently, it's about, for me, seeing the completion of the process. So, and this is something that you and I have been playing with lately, of say, I've given you a compliment and you've gone, yeah, thanks. And it's like the compliment, the energy behind that, from the loving open space that I was delivering it, gets squashed really quickly.
Yeah.
There's like just there's the nothing there, and I'm like, he didn't receive that.
No, I didn't.
He's gone, yeah, cool, thumbs up, love heart, whatever. And it's just like, it was like blank.
Thank you. That's better. Was that so hard?
But it wasn't even about the words. It was about the dropping of the barriers, so that, and when that happens, when the person drops their barriers, and it's like the person who sent the thing in their original place can feel that, and it's like the energy then flows back to the giver from the receiver. And that gratitude is all mixed up in there. The unconditional love is all in there. And it just feels so good. And I remember back way many years ago, I was told the greatest gift you can give is receiving the gift of another.
Yeah, agreed. And it... we don't, as you say, we get so independent that we don't realise that we're even doing it. We're worried about being a burden, or worried about, we just get caught up in that whole, are they doing too much, or am I asking for too much? And we've got to get out of that self-judgment and just, when someone gives, just accept. And because we try to do things, on the other hand, we try to do things for other people. We try to help people, and they're like, oh, no, I'm okay. And yeah, it doesn't feel that good sometimes.
No, it doesn't. And also there's the people pleasing side of the people pleasing side of things is a big part of that too, of the not receiving. We always, Cindy's just mentioned then that she's always been a giver. And it's just like, yeah, that's a people-pleasing aspect where we have been taught, indoctrinated, if you like, that we must always give. It's better to give than receive. How many times did we hear that growing up?
Yeah.
And it's actually not true.
No, it's better to receive. And
it's equally good to receive and give.
Oh, okay. Well, Cindy, go easy on Cindy. She sends me heaps of cards, sticks of cards. So thank you, Cindy.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So I just wanted to jump back to some comments there from Sathi. So he was saying, accepting and embracing our memories, not looking at how we can change them, being present with gratitude with how we arrived here and now. And I completely agree. Completely agree. Once we drop out of judgment for any of our choices, good, bad, the ugly, or the awesome, and we can really see them as part of the whole picture, all of the vast tapestry of our lives, it is so much easier to feel gratitude for all of those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's because we go off in our head, and then we distort everything in so many areas. We just overthink things, and if we can just be in that point in the moment, which is the only true interface we have to interact with the universe. Because as soon as we go out of our head, we're in the past, then we're out the driver's seat of life, and then we go into the future, we're out the driver's seat of life. And I say this all the time: is people just end up spending most of their life not in the driver's seat of life, and then wondering how did we get here. I know I've got to keep snapping myself into it. I still do it all the time, and I've got to remind myself. I get out of the driver's seat, and then I'm like, how the crap did I get here? And it's like,
so what sort of things do you do to make sure you get back into the driver's seat? And what words that I use is like being the dominant entity of your life. Like what sort of tools and techniques do you use for that?
Well, the main thing I do is I try to just sort of focus my awareness, and I usually start to try to feel energy, just become aware. And I notice that when I sort of come into the moment, I feel a slight rise in vibration in the crown, and then I'll start to feel more energy around me. It just sort of feels lighter. So I know when I've hit that spot. I just have to stop myself.
If you were to teach that tool to someone else, how would you take them through that?
Well, the first thing would be just reminding yourself to be present. That's the whole point of the meditation. It teaches you to clear the mind. Because we've all can be present when we're doing stuff like maybe watching Netflix or playing computer games or stuff like that. It's easy, when we're not that we're distracted, but when we're focusing on what we're doing, it sort of takes us into the present. So we're all sort of used to doing that. But it's when you just, I guess it would be just focusing on what you're doing. Like when you're walking, like you go for a walk, focus on what's around you and just sort of pick up on what's around you and what's actually happening, and not to go into too much dialogue about it. Just sort of stay in that space of the birds, the horses, the grass, and then you start to become more aware of the energy around you. And then when you find yourself going off in your head, you just got to keep snapping yourself back. It takes a lot of work,
especially at the start.
Yeah. It does get easier.
I can say the first 3 years.
I still have my days now.
Yeah.
Where I can be doing stuff. Yeah, I still have days when I could be doing stuff, and you've got to think about this and think about that. You're trying to solve problems and that, where I can just have to snap myself out of it and go, come on, come back into the present. It's so easy done because we're just so used to doing it most of our lives. Most of our lives. So it does take that. I mean, I guess that's why the kids are so good, because they're just in the moment. They're not worried about the bills. They're not worried about this. They're not worried about that. They're just doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why the animals have such. Well, they pick up. People like cats and dogs. They, pick up ghosts or other entities and stuff like that. It's because they're just worried. They're just present. It's not that they're super gifted. It's just that they're always present, so they get aware. They become aware of these energies, and that opens them up.
Such a gift. Such a gift. Yeah. I know our animals definitely do teach us a lot if we're willing to observe them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was really getting out of how you were speaking there, is like, to be present, it's about really observing the space that's around you, the things that are around you. And for me, I take it also to things like breath. Like, how is my body responding? Where is my breath? Am I breathing high? Am I breathing low? Am I breathing short? Am I breathing long? You know, funnily enough, Stubby's just said the same thing. And, you know, so I tend to start from internal and work my way out. You know, that is certainly one of the ways that has helped me, like in those moments where I'm just going, as you say, all into my head, and it's just like, it's like, okay, whoa, stop.
Well, you do. That's what I do. Is when you start off trying to come into the moment, I always start with a breath up, and a breath out. That's usually, I guess I do that. You know, you've been doing some stuff for so much time that you forget that you're doing it.
Yeah.
It sort of just becomes natural. And it's so easy to take even some of the spiritual stuff for granted. It's like people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do it. I mean, if that's the memory of past or... but the funny thing is the time dilation when you come into the moment. Is that the more you're present, your perception of time changes just amazingly. Like sometimes I can't tell if it's 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago. It feels the same. Or 2 months ago, it feels like 2 years. You know, last week could have been a year ago. It just feels like that sometimes. It's so hard. But I'll stop worrying about it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's like consciousness is a really weird and wacky journey for sure. Like time and space is just, it really does. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing a watch about 6 years ago. I don't regret it. Because what it did is it actually started to teach me how to rely on my intuition more. So we actually have a natural body clock, and if we allow ourselves to start tapping into that intuition of, okay, yeah, actually it's time to leave now. My body is starting to move. There's a reason why I have to leave now. Is it 5 minutes before I was thinking of leaving? Sure. But okay, let's go. And it turns out in leaving that much earlier, not only do you get the most amazing park, but you've missed an accident on the way. You've, not having to worry about finding the best seat wherever you're going, and and that's all from intuition.
Well, it is. Intuition's amazing. I mean, I had a time where I was driving trucks and I was driving down a freeway. And then the intuition just said, stand on the brake and slow down. And I didn't stand on the brake hard, but I slowed down to about 80 Ks. And then just was like, okay, what am I doing? And then about 10 seconds later, it was like, okay, speed up again. And then I sped up and nothing happened. And then I think I got about 10 minutes down the road, turned onto another road and accelerated. And I was going, flat, top speed for the truck, 100 Ks. And then this group of kangaroos come across the road and I just missed them by a matter of inches. So I don't know if I didn't slow down then, if they would have gone into the side of the truck or would have cleaned them up. And that just happened like 10 minutes later.
Wow.
So I could have collected them up if I just didn't slow down, and that was like way back there.
Wow.
So, but yeah, intuition. When we don't listen to it, we can get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It gets us into trouble. Mm-hmm. I've got to start paying way more attention to mine, because we get so caught up in what we need to be doing. And it's like quiet intuition. I got stuff to do, and we do that all the time. And the intuition's our friend, and we've got to. And it's, we've got to pay attention to it more, me myself included, when it's inconvenient, because that's usually when it's trying to help us the most.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Just want to give a little shout out to Yvonne for tuning in today. She says, giving and receiving is a balance of exchanged energy, which creates balance. And I completely agree. Yeah, it is about completing the cycle. And completing the cycle, it actually does. It balances everything out and makes everybody feel amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then we've got Peter. Hello, Peter. And Angelita. Hello, beautiful. Isn't it nice to see all these friends?
It is. Hey, guys.
Love this. And along with all of that and listening to your intuition and the consciousness space that you are now and that you're developing and continuing to shift, change, and grow into, what would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Pull your finger out. Pull your head out. But the time we have is just so valuable, and I mean, I spent so much time just not knowing what I was doing or where I was going. I mean, I know that's all for a reason now, but I guess it would be that just time is just more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the present moment is more valuable than we give it credit for, and we should be really utilising that to really do what we need to do. It doesn't necessarily mean doing more stuff. It's just, you know, value this time that we have in the present. Just value it more. It's, you know, this experience is really precious, and we take it for granted all the time, and we misuse it. And also that, yeah, listen to your intuition more, and even when it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
You know, listen to your instincts, listen to your intuition, and usually when it's inconvenient, that's when we need to really dial in on the most, which is hard.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. If you could recommend one book for someone just stepping into consciousness journey or something like that, what would you recommend?
Um,
I'll open it up to be a bit more modern. Book,
okay.
podcast.
Well, I've still got a ton of books that I haven't read. I've got like stacks of books that I'm halfway through, but one book that I really loved was by Alberto Valero, and it was Shaman Healer Sage, and it just took you through his experiences and how he just opened the world as he went down to Lake Titicaca in the Incas and started studying shamanism. It was just it just really opened my mind to what's around and how long it's been around, and just the possibilities of expansion, and just how sacred life is and the difference one can make. And that's probably my favourite book today. But I'm not a massive reader.
I love Audible. I resisted Audible for such a long time. I was like, no, I can't listen to Audible. No. Just like I resisted Kindle. It's like I have to be a real book person with real books, with paper, and I like the weight of the book in my hands and feeling it move through, and like knowing when you're near the end, and you don't get that with a Kindle or a digital form of the book. And it's just, so I resisted it for such a long time. But then my world got opened to Kindle when I was traveling. And of course, you don't want to take 3 books with you when you travel. And so I was like, well, all right, I'll use Kindle just this once. And it is handy, you know, you've generally got your phone with you.
Yep.
If you've got your Kindle on your phone, then you can keep reading, you know, it's no big deal. And Audible, my goodness, through the things, like I got into it, I had massive gardens to weed, and I hated weeding the gardens. Still not my favorite job to do, But with Audible, I was actually able to listen to great podcasts or books or all those sorts of things. And it was like suddenly I was going, like my 2-hour time span for doing weeding is up, because I'd set myself a limit of roughly 2 hours or whatever. And I'd be like, no, I haven't finished with this book yet. I'm going to keep going for a bit longer.
Yeah, well, I've done, I mean, lucky that there's some books on like YouTube you can download the audio, which is good. I mean, like I got listened to a couple, Carl Jung, the archetypes of, I think it's the archetypes of human consciousness, collective consciousness. And if you're not a avidable reader, that can be quite a lot of work to get through. To focus on if you're not a real strong reader. And I'm not a real strong reader, so I'd struggle to get through. Oh, what's that word mean? And that. But when you're listening to the Audible, you can just, when you're listening to the audio of it, you can sort of take it in a lot quicker. And, and then
I've done. I see we've got some bookworms in the audience, and we've got some.
Not me.
And hi, Carly. Shout out.
G'day, Carly.
Hi. And I spent a year and a half running a book club, and I would quite often, because I would have the like real version with me, and then if there was an audio version, I would have that as well. And sometimes I would actually do both at the same time. So I would sit and I would listen to the book being read while reading the book. And the information really got into my psyche that way. It was quite interesting to do it. I never thought I'd be like that, but that was just one of the ways, because it was helped me to be able to facilitate the book club session, because it was like I'd not only read the information, I heard the information. So I'm getting it on 2 different levels.
Yep.
That was a very different way of doing things.
I used to work at a chicken farm picking eggs, and I used to sneak in an MP3 player, and I used to listen to the Harry Potter novels while I was working. That was great. Work went so much quicker because it's like it's like you're watching a movie while you're working.
Love it. I love it. Yes, I agree, Yvonne. Reading a good book can help still the mind, for sure. When you get really involved in a book, it's just like, and fiction is really good for that. Definitely. Yeah. I don't find self-help books to be quite so absorbing in that way, but I have a mixture of both these days, especially when I'm doing my reno work.
I love reference books.
Yeah.
Anything to do with magical herbs and stuff like that, and natural remedies. I've got tons of them. Cindy's bought me a few. Thank you, Cindy.
Lots of love for Cindy today.
Yep.
So, just curious, what events or things have you got coming up soon?
Me, at the moment, I've got a psychic fair coming up at Clemsig this weekend. And I've got my weekly shows. I think Thursday nights I do a reading show. And I do that Sunday, and on Mondays I do an interview show, probably not as classy as this.
I learn from the best, so.
Called Soul Focus. And that's at the moment. At the moment I'm just getting trying to get my healing room together so I can open as a practitioner.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's what I'm working on at the moment.
Because you've done Reiki and stuff too, yeah?
Yeah, Reiki, quantum healing, chakra practitioner, and recently Access bars.
Yeah.
Have a look over there. There's a first certificate I actually put in the certificate. I wouldn't actually put it in. And then I had to get on my Reiki and my other stuff, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about this one. I forgot I had take qualifications for this too.
Yeah. And I can say from my experience that, you are an incredible energy worker. And, my body was humming when you were working on with me. And in a way that I haven't really felt that for quite some time. So, because I don't get to do energy work with men very often. So to have not only that masculine energy, but your unique blend of tools and modalities and things, it was that was so unique to my body. And I was just like, oh, yay! She was having a little party on the table. It was great.
Well, it's funny how we do things. Sometimes before I start to pull or push energy, I almost hold my breath and just get it going and just get it ripping through.
Yeah.
I don't know why I do that, and I'm then I have to remind myself, you have to breathe. I'm oops.
Yeah, breathing is very important.
It is. I can feel the energy, but you're turning blue.
Oh, my darling. Well, thank you so much for coming and playing with us today. And
You're welcome.
I was just curious, do you have anything special that you might like to offer the viewers today?
Yes, because I'm also a distant. I've got a distance practitioner, so I can do remote work. But I've got a special on at the moment for a 45-minute session, which is a reading session, guidance reading session, which I record the audio and send it to you. So if you mention Imbued with Possibilities, or Tasty Tuesday, or Crafting with Possibilities, I'll give you 20% off my special, which is $50 for a session at the moment, and so it will be $40 for a session, and that will get you that'll be a reading session. And if you need alignment or anything like that afterwards, I can send you it. I can give you a chakra alignment, tune you up. Yeah.
Wowee. That is incredible. Thank you so much, Brooke. And from everybody who will choose this, and I encourage them very much to do so, because he's actually, he is such a bloody good healer and energy worker. He's just the kindness, but the strength of the masculinity is just, it's on point. It's beautiful. So yes, make use of it before it runs out.
What does Carly say? Awesome special. Don't undercut me, Carly.
You guys are funny. So for those of you who don't know, Carly is on the Sunday show with Brooke.
And Tracy Hillier.
And Tracy Hillier is on
Sunday
there
and Chilled.
Sunday and Chilled, that's right. And that's where you can get readings done. And if you do a little donation, then you can, receive a bit of a higher priority in the list and get a bit more of an extended reading. So, yeah. And from my end, exactly, bloody awesome. From my end, things coming up, well, what do you know? This man has, in which way? That
Point
Brooke,
opposite. So you're that way.
This way, this man.
Yeah, it's point the opposite way to what you want to go. I'm used to doing it. See?
This man.
No one over there, but I'm actually pointing to you.
Yeah.
Now I'm pointing to no one. There she is.
Yeah, that's the one. That's funny. Yeah. So I've actually got my own little reading show coming up on Friday. It's going to be called Find You Fridays. So very similar platform, similar style. Because you know what? We can always do with more people out there finding themselves, having a bit of guidance, having a bit of fun. And, some shows might be me on my own. Some shows might include this man and maybe some of the other friends that we have in the spiritual community. And I look forward to seeing how that all comes about. So that will be on Friday. And next week, I have an incredible coach and energy healer, and she's just an amazing, awesome woman called Lucy Butler. So she's going to be our guest for next week. So looking forward to her chat. She's just an incredible being as well, and we've got lots of awesome stuff coming up with her too. All right, my darlings.
Okay. I think I've got a dashing young gentleman on my show next week too.
Ooh, do you really? Who would that be?
Matthew.
Matthew who, I wonder?
What's his last name?
Kun.
Kun. That's how it's pronounced. I'm shocking with pronouncing names.
All righty. Thank you, everybody, for coming to play. It has just been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being part of my very first episode with In Bed with Possibilities, Tasty Tuesdays. Thank you so much, Brooke, for coming and being my first guest. I am so honoured to have you here.
Thank you. The honour's all mine.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.